Salutations YouTube, it has been a while. I'm very sorry for my absence. I've just had I've been busy with work and some issues in my personal life. I will get into it in the future, but now I'm just here to bring you content. Those who have stuck around, thank you. It really does mean a lot. Those who have unsubscribed, what the fuck, I thought we were friends. My serial killer playlist was in the works, but now it's finished. That was the first season of my true crime phase, and now this is the second season, which is about spree killers slash mass killers. And this is a very sensitive subject, so if this isn't your kind of thing, please don't watch it. I will understand and I won't hold any disregard to you whatsoever. Starting off with the Dunblane Massacre, which was in Scotland in 1996. Before we talk about the shooting though, we're going to talk about the perpetrator, Thomas Hamilton. He was born on the 10th of May 1952 in Glasgow. He was a son of Thomas Watt Sr., who was a bus driver, and Agnes Graham Hamilton, who was a hotel chambermaid. When he was 18 months old, his father abandoned the family for another woman, after which his parents divorced and his father had no contact with him ever since. Thomas Hamilton's maternal grandparents raised Thomas as their son, legally adopting him and changing his name to Thomas Hamilton. I forgot to mention that his dad was called Thomas Watt Sr. He was made to believe that his maternal grandparents were his actual parents and that his mother was his older sister, which is a bit Ted Bundy-like if you ask me, because that was exactly how Ted Bundy was raised. And as you can tell, it had a lasting psychological impact on him. He began working in youth organisations, but that was soon ended because he had several complaints to police regarding inappropriate behaviour towards young children, including claims that he had taken photographs of, without parental consent. All of that was revoked, and he even complained to Queen Elizabeth II and his local Member of Parliament, Michael Forsyth, who was in the Conservative Party. And this is where we're going to get into the shooting, so if this isn't your thing, please click off now. That was just a quick background on Thomas Hamilton, but this part of the video is going to be incredibly graphic and upsetting, so I will not hold it against you if you click off now, especially unlikely if you're from Scotland and you were in the school at the time, which again is unlikely. But anyway, at about 8:15 AM on the 13th of March 1996, Hamilton, who was 43 at the time, was seen scraping ice off his van outside his home at Kent Road in Stirling. He left soon afterwards and drove about 5 miles north, which is about 8 kilometres give or take, to Dunblane. Hamilton arrived on the grounds of Dunblane Primary School, or elementary school for you Americans, at around 9:30 AM and parked his van near a telegraph pole in the car park of the school. He cut the telephone cables at the bottom of the telegraph pole which served nearby houses before making his way across the car park towards the school buildings. Hamilton headed towards the northwest side of the school to a door near the toilets and the school gymnasium. After entering, he made his way to the gymnasium armed with 4 legally held handguns, which were 2 9mm Browning HB pistols and 2 Smith & Wesson M19 revolvers, as well as 743 ammo cartridges. In the gym was a class of 28 primary 1 pupils, which I think I'm going to guess is kindergarten because it was ages 5 and 6, preparing for a PE lesson in the presence of 3 adult members of staff. Before entering the gymnasium, it is believed Hamilton fired 2 shots into the stage of the assembly hall and the girls' toilets. Hamilton started shooting rapidly and randomly. He shot PE teacher Eileen Harold, who was injured in her arms and chest as she attempted to protect herself, and continued shooting into the gym. Harold stumbled into the open-plan store cupboard at the side of the gym along with several injured children. Gwen Mayer, the teacher of the primary 1 class, was shot and killed instantly. The other adult present, called Mary Blake, who was a supervisory assistant, was shot in the head and both legs, but also managed to make her way to the store cupboard with several of the children in front of her. From entering the gymnasium and walking a few steps, Hamilton fired 29 shots with one of the pistols, killed 1 child and injured several others. 4 injured children had taken shelter in the store cupboard along with the injured Harold and Blake. Hamilton then moved up to the east side of the gym, firing 6 shots as he walked, then fired 8 shots towards the opposite end of the gym. He then went towards the centre of the gym, firing 16 shots at point-blank range at a group of children who had been incapacitated by his earlier shots. Like I said, people, this is extremely dark. A primary 7 student, which I think is 2nd or 3rd grade, maybe even 1st, I don't know. A primary 7 pupil who was walking along the west side of the gymnasium exterior at the time heard loud bangs and screams and looked inside. Hamilton shot in his direction and the pupil was injured by a flying glass before running away. From this position, Hamilton fired 24 shots in various directions. He fired shots towards a window next to the fire exit at the southeast end of the gym, possibly at an adult who was walking across the playground, and then fired 4 more shots in the same direction after opening the fire exit door. Hamilton then exited the gym briefly through the fire exit, firing another 4 shots towards the cloakroom of the library, striking and injuring Grace Tweddle, who was another member of staff at the school. In the mobile classroom, which is a relocatable classroom, it's kind of like a trailer. I don't know if you ever had them at school, but it's kind of like a trailer that's only there temporary. In the mobile classroom closest to the fire exit where Hamilton was standing, Catherine Gordon saw him firing shots and instructed her primary 7 class to get down onto the floor before Hamilton fired 9 bullets into the classroom, striking books and equipment. 1 bullet passed through a chair where a child had been sitting seconds before. Hamilton re-entered the gym, dropped the pistol he was using and took out one of his revolvers. He put the barrel of the gun in his mouth, pointed it upwards and pulled the trigger, killing himself. A total of 32 people sustained gunshot wounds inflicted by him over a 3 to 4 minute period, 16 of whom were fatally wounded in the gymnasium, including Gwen Mayer and 15 of her pupils. 1 other child died en route to the hospital. This incident led to a public campaign known as the Snowdrop Petition, which helped bring about legislation, specifically 2 new firearms acts, which prohibited the private ownership of most handguns in Great Britain. The UK government instituted a buyback programme which provided compensation to licensed owners. Following the killings, public debate centred on gun control laws, including public petitions for a ban on private ownership of handguns, and an official inquiry which produced the 1996 Cullen Report. 2 days after the shooting, a vigil and a prayer session was held at Dunblane Cathedral, which was attended by people of all faiths. On Mothering Sunday, Mother's Day, obviously, Queen Elizabeth II and her daughter, Princess Anne, attended a memorial service at Dunblane Cathedral. Here's a fun fact for you. One of the students of Dunblane at the time of the massacre was tennis player called Andy Murray. You might have heard of him. And the names of the victims are as follows: Victoria Elizabeth Clydesdale, aged 5. Emma Elizabeth Crozier, aged 5. Melissa Helen Curry, aged 5. Charlotte Louise Dunn, aged 5. Kevin Allen Hassel, aged 5. Ross William Irvin, aged 5. David Charles Kerr, aged 5. Mary Isabel McBeef, aged 5. Brett McKinnon, aged 6. Abigail Joanne McLennan, aged 5. Emily Morton, aged 5. Sophie Jane Lockwood North, aged 5. Sorry. John Petrie, aged 5. Joanna Caroline Ross, aged 5. Hannah Louise Scott, aged 5. Megan Turner, aged 5. Gwen Mayer, aged 45. It remains the deadliest mass shooting in British history, and as far as I'm concerned, the only one to take place in a school. It happened in 1996. We brought in gun laws, and it's not happened since. So must have done something right, I guess, but it's just a shit tragedy. I'm not a parent, but I wouldn't be able to imagine dropping off my kids, kissing them goodbye, not knowing that would be the final goodbye. My thoughts go out to the survivors and the families. And as for the shooter, Thomas Hamilton, I hope you are rotting in hell. No one knows why he did it. He was just a dickhead, wasn't he? I'm sorry if this video was short. It's pretty late at night and I'm tired. But I promise future videos will be longer, more in depth. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. It'll be much appreciated. It helps me out somehow. Subscribe to the channel. Again, we're going to push for 200 by the end of the year. Bit of a stretch, I know, but you never know what could happen. I'm on 105 now, so here's hoping by December we'll get to 200. But yeah, please like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.